Well, welcome everyone to Connected by Community. We're a podcast here to bring you information about our community, nonprofits, businesses, interests that may be in the community. And today we're bringing you a special interest from our own company that sponsors this program, Ballentine Capital Advisors. I'm Bryan Ballentine. I am joined here by Cameron Cannon, who is with our firm as an associate wealth advisor and joined us several months back, and we're glad to have you. Welcome, Cameron.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. So what we wanted to do, because you're going to be kind of co-hosting this show at times, we're going to have multiple people from our firm co-hosting and participating. Wanted to get the folks to know a little bit about you and kind of your background, because you have an interesting background, a young guy, but have experienced a lot in life. But maybe before we even jump into that, tell us a little bit about right now. What are you doing for work and life and that kind of stuff?
Well, I'm fortunate enough to have you as my boss, you and Anthony. I'm working at Ballentine Capital Advisors. My official title right now is the Associate Wealth Advisor. So what I do on a day-to-day basis is kind of help you out with your clients and help out with the firm, try to bring on my own clients as well. We do a lot of financial planning work, obviously, as you're aware of, work with clients, really specialize, I would say, in the retiree planning, kind of making sure, if you can retire, that's one of the big questions we always like to look at. And yeah, just helping out at the firm and learning every day and kind of learning from the best.
Awesome. What about personally? Tell me a little bit about yourself, where you live, what you do. Married, not married, all that kind of stuff. Well, I know, but tell the rest of the folks.
So personally, I just got engaged last May to my beautiful fiance, Michaela. We met right before I started at Clemson University about 4 years ago. Been together ever since. I always joke around. My parents actually like her more than they like me.
Well, that's good.
Yeah. So on the wealth side, we got to get together to make sure she's not going to steal all my money in the future. No, just kidding. But they really do love her. She's been a great part of the family. She has two sisters. She's actually a twin. So I spend a lot of time hanging out with them and their respective boyfriends. I play golf a lot with them. We go on the lake a lot. My parents live on Lake Hartwell, so we'll go out there and wake surf, which is another thing. She's actually better at me. So yeah, we we're very outdoorsy. We have fun with that. Other than that, pretty much just spend time working and kind of hanging out with family. Like I said, I golf a little bit. Go on the lake during the summertime, and other than that, it's kind of about it. I just bought a house off North Main, so. Bought a 1950s house. Not sure if that was the smartest thing I've ever done, but already had to get a roof on it and do the kitchen. And, having a newly wed fiance, she's wanting to, have all the nicest stuff in there. So I got to redo the bathrooms and, all that kind of fun stuff. So other than that, just doing yard work and kind of working on the house. So that's kind of.
So are you doing it yourself? Or are you hiring it out?
So it's a little bit of both. So my dad's a little bit of a handyman and I do a little bit, but, so far, we've taken on a few projects we can't finish, so we'll just bring in some professional help, to say the least.
And when you get too tired, right?
Yeah, we get too tired. So, yeah, it's been fun though.
So let's just talk about two of the things you just talked about. So golf, good, bad, hack at it. What do you do there? I know one of the guys in our office. you and him compete a little bit, right?
It's a struggle. I have my good days, my bad days. I try to play at least once or twice a week. I go out and play with, like you said, one of the guys from work, Anthony. He's quite a bit better than me. I like to talk trash to him.
Don't say that out loud here.
I like to talk trash to him, and I've lost a little bit of money to him when we go and have friendly bets on the golf course. But I play with him a good bit when he's not busy, taking care of his kids. And I play with my fiance's twin sister's boyfriend, Asher Sweeney. He's a member at Paris Mountain Country Club. We go up there and play around. I'm a little bit better than he is. He might not like me saying that, but I play with him and a few other friends. And we're decent. We can hit the ball, but I might par a hole, might hit it in the woods. There's not really wouldn't want to bet money on it.
Well, you and I hadn't gone out and played. Maybe you and I need to play because you're probably better than me. I'm a hacker.
Okay.
I always tell people, know how good financial planner I am. Come see my golf game. It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
That's all I do. But the other thing you said, which interests me, is because I do love the lake. So talk about how good you are on the wakeboard. Your fiance's better is what you're saying?
Yeah. So my parents live on Lake Hartwell, and we have a wake surf boat, wakeboard boat, whatever the kids want to call it these days. And we'll have our friends out there, and she can actually drive the boat. So I'll go and wake surf and have a little fun, and she'll go out there and do the same. I think it helps her a little bit that she weighs maybe 105 pounds. So it might be a little easier for her to stay behind the wake than it is for me.
That's a skinny person's game.
Yeah. So being a little bigger on the board, you gotta work to stay in the wave. But it's really fun. I wakeboard some, but getting a little older, not wanting to get hurt, and had a few concussions from racing dirt bikes. I try to stay behind the boat and just do something where if I fall, I'm not gonna wake up the next day too sore. So,
well, I got to tell you the wakeboard thing. So I did this, and my brother, and we're older and bigger than you. We learned that it is not a young man's game. And you need to be a little better shape, or we need more lessons. So maybe we can change all that and work on it. But it's a lot of fun to watch the kids and tube and different stuff. But you mentioned something else, concussions in sports. So I know people that don't know you got an interesting childhood and an interesting thing you did in life prior to going to school. So maybe talk about your upbringing and what you did as a child and what you had the opportunity to do that maybe some other folks didn't.
Yeah, so I was very fortunate. My parents were very blessed, and they believed in me from a young age. But starting, I think my 6th birthday, actually, I got my first dirt bike. For those who don't know what that is, it's just kind of a motorcycle that goes on the dirt. So I started doing that, and I did it all the way up until I was about 17 years old. From the time I was 6 to 17, I won 15 amateur national championships. The way I would equate that for people that don't know really what that is, I would say it's the equivalent of playing for a D1 football school and, going to the national championship. Obviously that's a team sport versus what I did was kind of myself, but I would say that's kind of similar. I got paid a little bit. I was sponsored by companies such as Monster Energy, Kawasaki, Bell helmets. Those are kind of the ones that people might know of. So I did that growing up. I traveled the world, raced all over Florida, Las Vegas, New York, Texas, kind of anywhere in the United States you can think of. So I did that growing up and had a lot of fun, broke a lot of bones. I think I was up to like 15 broken bones, a few concussions. So it was fun, but ended up quitting that at about 17. I had some opportunities to go pro, even an opportunity to go race overseas in Europe. Decided that I was a little scared of getting hurt and had some friends get paralyzed, so decided to hang it up and go to college. So went to Clemson, graduated in a little under 3 years, and then, got my securities license and did that for about a year, and then, got in touch with you and Anthony and came to Greenville and started working for a really good firm. So it's kind of how it all unplayed.
Awesome. I'm just curious about, you said from 6 to 17, is that right?
Yep.
So what kind of things did you learn racing that other people may not have? I mean, you didn't have a traditional type school upbringing. Did you learn? I'm sure you had to learn discipline, and staying on task to get through all the things you've accomplished. So maybe tell everybody a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I would say when I was 12 years old, I moved to a place called Chesterfield, South Carolina. It's up kind of close to Charlotte. It's the only way. It's kind of in the middle of nowhere, actually. And I lived there with my mom for 2 or 3 years in a motorhome. And I trained every single day. So I had personal trainers, nutritionists, fitness trainers. And I lived up there with maybe about 20 other guys that were kind of on the same level. We'd wake up about 6:30 every morning, go for about a 5-mile run, come back. We'd have breakfast cooked. We were all eating either vegetarian or vegan, kind of, all over the place, being healthy. We'd ride from, I guess it was 8:30 or 9 all the way until 3 in the afternoon training. Then we would get off the bike, do our bike work for the day to get it ready for the next day, go to the gym, get done with the gym, go eat again, and then kind of get in bed and just do it all over again. So I lived there. I guess my mom stayed with me before I could drive. And then once I got my driver's license, I did that myself. And then I moved to Georgia and kind of did the same thing, lived in California for about a year, kind of did the same thing out there. So talk about discipline. It was, you had to have a lot of discipline, a lot of self-motivation to do that every day. You'd get beaten down a lot, get hurt. The worst was if you put in all that effort and you'd go to a race and not perform well. And then on top of that, I had to deal with, sponsorships, had to sell myself. Obviously, dirt bikes aren't cheap. I think my race bike was close to about $15,000, and I had 3 or 4 of those. And going to the races wasn't cheap as well, so I had to sell myself to not drive my parents broke. So did that, and then once I started getting paid, I had to manage my own money as well to not outspend what I was making. So learned a lot of lessons that I would say a lot of people that just did the traditional route of middle school and high school had a lot of different worries than they did. So I would say I kind of grew up fast in that regard.
What do you think's 1 or 2 lessons you learned that you wouldn't have learned if you hadn't had those unique experiences?
I would say one was, which a lot of people have, but I would say never give up. I was doing well at racing, but it took a lot of work. It wasn't fun to wake up at 6:30 in the morning while you're friends that, back home were sleeping in and, going to run 5 miles to then ride all day and, not necessarily get yelled at, but it was a lot of constructive criticism. So I would say
I like that, constructive criticism.
One thing that I had to learn at a young age was to take it with a grain of salt, and that they're trying to help you. Definitely had some unpleasant words spoken to me from trainers, and, it definitely made me who I am today and pushed me. And I would say another thing was to follow your dreams. It was definitely hard at times. And like I said, I had a lot of friends that went to high school and, middle school in town, and, they're going to dances and hanging out with girls and hanging out with friends and, going to bonfires and doing fun stuff like that. And I'm, stuck eating vegan and, riding a dirt bike every day, which is what I had fun doing. But, definitely follow your dreams and stay on the straight and narrow. I'd say that helped me out a lot.
That's awesome. You took a passion you had and you followed it and accomplished more than a lot of people your age. So that's certainly powerful. One of the things I picked up on what you just said, and I talk about to my kids all the time, is being persistent. I don't know if this is the same in racing, but a lot of times in life I see people giving up when they're about to have success.
Yep.
Or maybe it just took a little bit more. And sometimes we don't see that. All we see is hard work and we stop. And, when I started this business, I'm not saying I always made the right decisions, but it took a long time, right?
Yeah.
And I always say I got a PhD in hard knocks with it. And there are many people that just gave up, and I was persistent. And I'm sure racing had a lot of those same things, is tenacity, persistency of doing the same things, getting up every morning at 6:30, eating the right things for a long period of time.
Yep.
You have to have some natural talent. And I've heard Michael Jordan say something that, he could have been naturally talented, but if he didn't have the work ethic, he wouldn't have been good, right?
Yeah.
It takes a combination of the two.
Yeah, I would say one thing that my trainer always told me is, you got guys that have a lot of talent. That's with anything in life. There's people that are just blessed with, some sort of gift. If those guys don't have a hard work ethic, there's people that don't have that gift that work hard and are persistent for a long period of time. It's one thing I always like to say, there's no success overnight. And I think that's one thing that a lot of the youth, obviously I'm young, so I'm kind of speaking to people that, are my age. A lot of people want to get rich overnight. They want to be the owner of a company overnight, and they don't understand there's people like yourself that have spent 25 years in a business, or somebody like myself or my peers I used to race with. They spent long, hard, decades, not just a year or 6 months, putting in the effort day in and day out. And I feel like people don't understand that's what you got to go to get success.
You do. You have to be willing to do things others aren't willing to do.
Yep.
I think there was actually something I recently saw on Facebook with that. And, you can't control the talents God's given you. He's given you whatever He's given you. But again, I tell my kids and other people that I try to mentor, don't let them say someone else outworked you, because you can control that, right?
100%.
Put in everything you got and make the best of what you got. And it sounds like you did that. So congratulations. But I'm thankful that brought you to us.
Yeah.
So that's brought you to where you are here. And just an interesting story. You're a great person, and we're really glad to have you here on the team. And I know you're going to do a lot of good. For one of the reasons we want to have you here, it's not a promotion, but it's just about community. You're in the community doing good things in the Greenville downtown community with a home, making that home better,
trying to,
which helps the community, and certainly are going to be a valuable part of our team, but more importantly, the team of our community. So thanks for being here and all you do, and I know that you're going to contribute.
Thank you.
One of the things when we have guests from the community and they're at a nonprofit or they're somewhere else, is we always like to ask them this question. And so I'm going to ask it of you. What makes you tick?
So actually, obviously part of the podcast, I've watched a lot of these, and most people always do something that's good and positive. So I'm going to do something that makes me tick on a negative way that also kind of leads to why I got in this business in the first place. And I would say one thing growing up is, and especially now with the prevalence of social media, is there's a lot of people that want to keep up with the Joneses. And I would say that there's nothing wrong with that. But one reason that I wanted to get in this industry in the first place is the importance of financial planning and kind of getting into it early. And like I said, I grew up and, I had to manage my own money pretty early because, like I said, racing wasn't a cheap sport by any means. And, my parents could only have done so much. So I kind of had to, make sure I knew that. I bought my first car by myself, bought my first home by myself, didn't have any handouts. So I would say one thing that kind of goes with that is make sure you have your priorities right. And one way that you can kind of get closer to retirement and get closer to chasing your dreams and owning your own business and being an entrepreneur, whatever you want to do, is make sure that you put your money where your mouth is. I see a lot of people, especially my age, that, they might go out and buy this car they can't afford, or buy this, designer watch or designer bag. And there's nothing wrong with those things, in my opinion. I personally like them. I think everybody does. But don't go out and say that you're gonna, own your own business and you go out and buy $1,000 iPhone, but you can't put $1,000 in your own business. So that's one thing I would say makes me tick, and one thing that I kind of wanted to get in this business is to show people that with right planning and the right goals, that you really can achieve a lot in life, especially if you start early.
Awesome. That is awesome and dead on. And I always say, let your behavior match what you claim your values and goals are. Right.
Yeah.
Oftentimes, if you see someone's checkbook and their check registry, for those who are old enough to use a check registry, where people's money go is probably where their heart is, no matter what they tell you.
Yep.
People will tell you certain things, but look at your checkbook. And if they're being spent, nothing wrong with buying a Mercedes. I like Mercedes. That's a want, probably, not a need. The need was transportation.
Yep.
And sometimes we get confused in our society, and we're constantly marketed to live this life. One of our people we talk about sometimes, Dave Ramsey, I think he puts it, something, I'm going to misquote this, but we buy things we don't need to impress people we don't like. And I think no more true statement about our society can be made. I do think that's a very true statement and really hits to what you're talking about.
Yeah, to go on to that statement actually goes back to the early 1900s. I actually had that in my notes as someone I talk about, and it's it's very true. People buy things they don't need with money they don't have, and to add on to that, to impress people they don't even care about or don't like. And that's one thing that I would say is, social media is awesome, but that's one thing that I feel like you said, we get marketed to all the time. And, if Billy Bob got the newest truck, you want to get the newest truck plus one feature. Or if they got this watch, you want to get the even more expensive watch. And, there's nothing wrong with, celebrating your successes, but at the same time, don't say one thing and then your actions show something different. So that's one reason that I really like this business, and especially starting out early, it'll really show down the road who is actually putting their money where their mouth was.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. So that's awesome. That's a great answer, and one of the more unique answers we've had. So thanks so much for being here. And again, just thanks for being with us and on the community. We're looking forward to a long time together. So
yeah, well, thanks for having us. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So we're here to help our community, introduce you to various partners with nonprofits and people in business. And hopefully you got to know a little bit about Cameron today. Certainly reach out and like us. Find us on Facebook, Instagram, and all the various social media platforms. And until we see you again, go out and make our community great.